Hello again, folks, and welcome to a new Let's Play. This is Neverwinter Nights 2. Not starting with this here. This is going to be the base campaign. Developed and released in 2006, 2007, somewhere around that range. This is, well, expansion, or not expansion, sequel to Neverwinter Nights. I'm not exactly sure how long of a sequel it is from Neverwinter Nights. I just know that it has nothing to do with, well, partially know that it has nothing to do with the events of the first game. Point is, this is based off of Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 edition. Basically where I had started coming into the whole Dungeons & Dragons tabletop role-playing scene was between 3.0 and 3.5. I still hadn't touched anything until like 2005, 2006 or so, and I certainly didn't have the hardware to run Neverwinter Nights 1 or 2 at that time. We were mostly like PlayStation console nerds and whatnot. Anyways, this is no super special enhanced edition. This is just Neverwinter Nights 2 complete off of GOG. I will point out though that I do have one mod on here, and that is to make it so as things are easier to read, larger font boxes so that you can read shit a little bit easier, because this game was not made necessarily to be played in 1080p. But that said, we're going to start a new campaign. A period of calm has settled over Neverwinter, and the city has begun to recover from the devastating war against Luskan. However, a dark evil from the past has reawakened and threatens to sunder the fragile peace. Once again, a hero must emerge to protect the citizens of the North and prevent the region from plunging into the darkness. Now, this recommends 1 to 4 players. This is a game that you can play entirely online with friends. I don't know what the status of the servers is like nowadays. Pretty sure that someone's got some sort of a workaround, but they do provide you some NPCs to fill out those other 3 slots. Which means party management. You guys know that party management's never really been my strong suit. But we're gonna go ahead and create a new character. Yay, the fun part of D&D. So we have plenty of options, and again, since this is based off of 3.5 D&D, they had taken some of the stuff from splat books or expansions. Most namely some of the stuff from the complete series of books, and toss them in here. Now we got your titular, dwarves, elves, gnomes, halflings, even humans and whatnot. I swear, 3.5 humans have got to be the best version of humans in any of the versions of D&D, but I digress. We are going to be playing as a very particular character of mine. That is a plain touched. Plain touched is a general word to describe someone who can trace his or her bloodline back to an outsider. His heritage may be celestial, fiendish, or elemental. The effects of being having a supernatural being in one's heritage lasts for many generations, although not as dramatically altered as a half celestial or half fiend. Plain touch still retains some special qualities. The most common varieties plain touch are Genasi, Aasimar, and Tieflings. The Genasi have an elemental heritage influenced by air, earth, fire, or water. Aasimar are humans with some trace of celestial blood in their veins, and Tieflings have some fiendishness in their family tree. Now, I usually also like to add in that it's not necessarily in their bloodline, like, someone in their family might have done it with a demon. I mean, lords know that succubi are a thing, but I always like to think that it's just some sort of a fiendish influence as well, or a celestial influence, or so on and so forth. Now, when you're thinking elemental heritage, what, like someone banged a fire elemental? Theoretically, yes, but more than likely something more along the lines of a genie or an ifrit, however you want to pronounce it. This particular character, not Aasimar, is not a tiefling, although I really do like the fact that they do make it obvious that you're a tiefling, but it's not... What's the word I want to look for? Like, it's obvious that you're a tiefling, there's signs you're a tiefling, but it's not... It's not like it's an entirely... I don't know how to say it. Aasimar are always funky, in that they... I think usually in 3.5 they have more metallic sheen to their eyes. But we're not air, although they actually do make them look pretty cool in this. We're not fire. We're not even water, although I think the water one has some of the weirder options when it comes to hair. No, we're gonna be Earth Genasi. Earth Genasi are slow to act, ponderous in thought, and set in their ways. They appear mostly human, with one or two unusual traits reflecting their quasi-elemental nature, such as Earth-like skin, rough facial features, or eyes like black pits. They get a +2 to strength and constitution, but a -2 on wisdom and charisma. They gain a dark vision up to 60 feet, and once per day they can merge with stone, allowing them to gain a ability of damage reduction 5 that lasts for 5 rounds, or until it absorbs 20 points of damage. This will be neat. The Earth Genasi I've seen for 5th edition, merge with stone makes it so as you just physically merge with stone. That's about it. It's something like a stealth check? I'm not entirely sure. It's been a while since I played this particular character. Earth resistance, resistance to fire, or resistance to acid, rather. So in in 3.5 edition, favorite class basically is a way for you to work around a multi-class penalty, which I believe I will be working with because he is going to be a multi-class character. Now this is one of the more interesting rules when it comes to 3.5 Pathfinder or whatever, is level adjustment. They are slightly more powerful and gain levels more slowly than other races. It will take more experience for an Earth Genasi to reach level 2 than it would for normal races, for example. So basically, level adjustment +1 means that he's effectively a 2nd level character when he starts at level 1. This makes it so as, you know, he does level a little bit slower, and he is slightly more powerful simply because of the +2 strength, +2 constitution, and the ability to gain damage reduction for like 5 rounds of combat. We're gonna make him a little bit taller. He's gonna be a buff boy. There's not much to the character creation when it comes to this particular game, but I'm gonna go with this face. Kind of a gentler face when it comes to the rest of his options. I believe I was going to settle on this one, simply because it's kind of the one of the least, I'm gonna go with outrageous for the word. He had a very gray skin, eyes of carnelian, and hair to almost sort of match his eyes. Yeah. That's a good one. Now, for a character such as this, oh boy. God, I've missed 3.5 D&D. So, when it comes to some of the expansion stuff, they had the likes of the Favored Soul, which is essentially a divine spellcaster that casts his spells like a sorcerer does, spontaneously. Well, basic classes, yep. It's not so much that you had studied or that you pray for your power from the gods. The gods had simply gifted you these powers. And based on your deity, you get different, relatively different spell selection, as well as the deity's favored weapon as a bonus proficiency and a focus, which is neat. That's not this character though. I could warrant this character being a paladin, but not really. Paladins in 3.5 D&D, before splat books and whatnot, were basically always lawful good. And while this character is a good line character, he's not a stick-up-the-ass character like a paladin is. Another Splat book exclusive from Complete Warrior, one of my favorite books, by the way, is The Swashbuckler. Embodies the concepts of daring and panache, favoring agility and wit over brute force. Swashbuckler excels both in combat situations and social interactions, making her a versatile character indeed. Yeah, these guys are basically a more dexterous version of a rogue. Just, interesting. Very dodgy, very dexy, mobility, improved flanking, which is noise. Not gonna be that. And probably one of the better classes that came out of the Complete Arcane, the Warlock. Born of a supernatural bloodline, a Warlock seeks to master the perilous magic that suffuses his soul. Suffuses his soul. Unlike wizards who approach arcane magic through the medium of spells, a Warlock invokes powerful magic through nothing more than an effort of will. A font of dark magic burning in their souls makes them resistant to many forms of attack and arms them with dangerous power. Warlocks learn to harness their power to perform a small number of special attacks and tricks called invocations. Warlocks make up for their lack of versatility by being tougher and more resilient than sorcerers or wizards. And this is true in the fact that they have a hit die of D6, a medium base attack bonus as opposed to a low. Basically, a low base attack bonus would be 1/2 of their hit die, whereas a medium is 3/4 of their hit die. If it was max, a full, then it's equal to their hit die. They gain a little bit of armor proficiency, which works differently from 5th edition, just telling you right now, and simple weapon proficiency. And they are kind of sort of the basis of Warlocks always having Eldritch Blast, because this is not a spell, this is a base spell-like ability that Warlocks got. And it's mighty. It's freaking cool what the Warlocks of 3.5 could do. They could shape their blasts, they can change how their blasts work all entirely, make them cold, make them melee range, make them fiery based, make them into a cone. List goes on. However, that is not this character. I just like to show off some of these other things that, I always liked as a player of 3.5 D&D. Now what we are going to do is we are going to be basic bitch fighter. Of all the classes, the fighter has the best all-around fighting capabilities, hence the name. Fighters are familiar with all the standard weapons and armor. In addition to general fighting prowess, each fighter develops particular specialties of his own. A given fighter may be especially capable of certain weapons, another might be trained to execute specific fancy maneuvers. As fighters gain experience, they get more opportunities to develop their fighting skills. Thanks to their focus on combat maneuvers, they can master the most difficult ones relatively quickly. Fighters in 3.5 gain combat feats every other level, but the first 2 levels, they always get a combat feat. One at first, one at second. They have a high base attack bonus, good fortitude, are proficient with every weapon and armor, as well as shields, excluding exotic weapons. A measly 2+ int modifier, ×4 at first level when it comes to skills, and their skills are kind of limited in crafting armor, weapons, intimidating, parrying, and taunt. But, as I said, at first level, second level, and then every 2 levels thereafter, they get a bonus combat-oriented feat. Now, usually the thing you would do in 3.5 for a maxed out, super buff, first level fighter is to be a human fighter, because you get 1 feat for character creation, just for existing, 1 feat for being a human, and 1 combat feat for being a fighter. So basically the most feats you could start at first level would be a human. But again, we're not human. My plan for this character is to start off and get 2 levels-ish of human, or 2 levels-ish of human, 2 levels of fighter, and then delve off into cleric. because clerics are masters of divine magic, which is especially good at healing. Even an inexperienced cleric can bring people back from the brink of death, and an experienced cleric can bring back people who have crossed over that brink. As channelers of divine energy, clerics can affect undead creatures. A cleric can churn away or even destroy undead. Clerics have some combat training. They can use simple weapons, or they are trained in the use of armor, since armor does not interfere with divine spells the way it does with arcane spells. So that's another mechanic where 3.5 armor has an arcane spell failure chance. Even if you're proficient with the armor, there's always a D100 percentile how bad you're going to screw up spellcasting. Of course, lighter armor is easier to spellcast in, but heavy armor is much more rough to do so. Their base attack bonus is only a medium, so 3/4 their health, with a hit die of D8s. Light, medium, heavy armors, and shields, except for tower shields. They'll get concentration, alchemy, craft armor, craft weapon, diplomacy, heal, lore, parry, and spellcraft. And again, their big thing is going to be their spellcasting, as well, somewhat, as their turn undead for this character. But again, we'll get into that when we get into that. For now, we're going to go with Fighter. This character is neutral good, doing good for the benefits of good, whether or it is against or for law or chaos. He is that good guy. And I gave this a long, hard thought when it came to his deity, because having a deity in Faerun is just kind of meh. It's there. It doesn't make a huge impact in this game, what it says here, but though it may be referenced at some point. In the world that this character was played in, Farlands, this character was a worshipper of a god of light. And the only deity of light in this game really is Lathander. Portfolio of athletics, birth, creation, dawn, renewal, self-perfection, spring, vitality, and youth. Sadly, his favorite weapon doesn't quite match what I had him playing for him, but that's fine. And now, the ability scores. Now you'll notice too that the +2s of strength and con and the -2s of wisdom and charisma have already been added in. Strength governs pretty much anything physically based. Your strength score will affect your attack bonus and damage with melee weapons, some exclusions, your carrying capacity as well. Dexterity is your balance. Will affect my AC. We'll get a little bit more into that later. And your ranged attack rolls, as well as reflex saving throws. Constitution more or less determines your hit points and your fortitude saving throws. I believe it also has something to do with concentration, but that might be wisdom. It's been a while since I've done 3.5 stuff, so you'll have to excuse me if any of this is incorrect. Intelligence for this particular character is only going to govern his skill points, because every level you get a flat amount of skill points to put into your separate skills. In this case, it'll be 2 plus intelligence modifier, and yes, that does include low intelligence, so I don't necessarily want this to be a -1. And if I was a wizard, then it would be governing my spells in that case as well. Although this does also affect swashbucklers, as one of their abilities is affected by intelligence. I will, however, want a decent wisdom, because the wisdom score, while it also deals with my will saving throws, will also affect my divine spell casting. And not just, oh, I need this DC of this spell to be high. No, I need 19 wisdom if I want to deal with 9th level spells, because you need to have a wisdom, or in any spellcasting thing, the governing ability score has to be 10 plus 1 of the spellcasting level. So I need to have 11 and intelligence to cast magic missile, 13 to cast fireball, so on and so forth. I'm also not a monk, so the monk abilities don't matter. Charisma. Whee! For persuasiveness, ability to lead, and physical attractiveness. And for bard, sorcerers, and favorite soul spellcastings. This will affect most of the skills that are based on around charisma, you know, your persuasion, your deception, stuff like that. But for... this is where 3.5 is a little funky, because as a cleric, I will need wisdom, but I'll also need a charisma for my turn on undead. But I also won't, and we'll get into that when I get into that. Let's see where it puts my recommended. It puts my recommended pretty bad. We're gonna remove from dexterity and add to wisdom to get it at least to a plus 12. I want my intelligence to be good, just so as I can have more skill points. I like my strength where it is, and dexterity is going to be a 10 because I'm going to be wearing heavier armor. At most, I'll probably want an 11 later on because of how full plate works. This is also a really cool thing when it comes to, not through 3.5 necessarily, but to Neverwinter Nights 2, is depending on your ability scores, you get the option of different backgrounds. You've got the bully, the devout, the militia, the troublemaker, the wild child, the appraiser, foreigner, veteran. This particular character, though, is very much a homeboy. He was a farmer. Growing up on a farm taught you the ways of the land, and watching over fields gave you keen eyes. Long workdays didn't leave much time for fancy learning. So he will receive a +1 to survival and a +1 to spot, but receive a -2 to lore. Don't worry, we'll have other characters to have that lore. Now I'm going to customize my dude. These are just presets where you can be the master of the longsword, a freaking cool-ass gladiator, a high AC defender, or a dexy dodgy fighter, or just a default fighter. We're going to customize that, because customization is always fun. Now, full disclosure too, I've never played through this game fully. Big shocker, I know. I had played this game way long back when my computer actually started being able to handle video games. I think I got through the prologue and like a 10th of the first act. I didn't experience too much of the game, point being. Now this character, because he doesn't have much of a charisma to begin with, I'm not really going to bother with anything charisma based. Although I do want to really quickly double check something when it comes to classes, because we also have prestige classes all the way back here. And what I would want to do is the War Priest. It's not available at character creation. I need to make sure that I meet his prerequisites in order to become a War Priest. War Priests are fierce, earthy clerics who pray for peace but prepare for war. Their strong wills, powerful personalities, and devotion to their deities make them fearsome combatants. War Priests are experts of group warfare and have many powers to protect and rally their allies while terrifying their foes. Clerics, druids, rangers, and paladins can become War Priests to enhance their party's fighting abilities. So, with this, I need a base attack bonus of +5, which I should be able to get around, let's see, 3/4. I'll have 2. I think I'll need to be roughly level 6 with the way I'm building this character. The ability to cast 4th level divine spells, so a little bit later, so I'll almost kind of suck. Diplomacy, 8, spot of 5. The diplomacy kind of sucks, but I think we'll pump it into spot for the time being. Combat casting, which will be important for casting spells. The way that these guys work, they are essentially a blend of fighter and clerics. If you were just straight cleric, you would gain D10 hit die, good base attack bonus, all that fun stuff. But the thing with this is that its spellcasting levels stack with the spellcasting levels of the cleric. So I wouldn't have to worry about losing out on spellcasting levels in the first place. They gain War Glory. All allies within 10 feet of a War Priest have +1 to hit, though the War Priest himself does not gain this bonus. All enemies within the same range suffer a -1 morale penalty to saving throws, and this penalty cannot be resisted in any way. And that is always active. In Flame, starting at 2nd level, a War Priest can use this ability to grant himself and all allies within 40 feet bonus to saving throws versus fear and mind effects for 5 rounds. The bonus is +2 at level 2, +4 at 4, 6 at 6, 8 at 10. I can then also remove fear once per day per level of War Priest. Mass Cure Light Wounds, starting at 3rd level. I think that's also once per day? Yeah. Fear Aura. At 5th level, I can just create a Fear Aura, which would make it so as characters would have to run away. 6th level, War Priest gains Battle Tide. I'm not entirely familiar with that spell. At 7th level, Haste. 3 times a day. Just haste 3 times a day, no need for a spell slot. And then at 9th level, Mass Heal. Mass Heal is a spell that heals for 10 hit points per caster level of the caster. And Implacable Foe at 10th level. All allies within 30 feet, though not himself, get an extra +20 hit points. Yeah, that's awesome. After 10 rounds, all recipients lose the 20 hit points, though. In addition, the ability halves the War Priest movement for 10 rounds. That's a little bit sucky, but it's very much appropriate for this character. Anyways, let's go ahead and go back to where we were. Get that thunder. Ability score. Reduce that back down to 10. Pump that wisdom back up. I'm almost tempted to take less constitution, but you gotta remember, we do not have fast leveling up like most characters would. We are effectively level 2 without being level 2. Take the farmer, and we're gonna customize. So, 16 skill points. So the way that skill points worked in this, you could have a maximum amount of skill points in a singular skill equal to your level +3. But there's a special exception. Class skills are highlighted in blue. These are the ones that you gain for being whatever your class is. Anything that is white, you spend twice as many skill points just to put 1 into, which is a little butts, with a maximum of your effective character level. So in my case, since I'm effectively level 2, I can only put 2 in. Anything that is red, you cannot put any points into at all. So I am not proficient with Perform as a fighter, so I can't put anything in as a fighter. Makes sense. For this character, there is weapon and armor crafting. I will probably try my hand at crafting magic items, particularly weapons and armor. Let's see. Parry? This is an interesting one. Parry allows a character to block incoming attacks and make spectacular counterattacks. It's entirely dexterity based, sadly. The DC of the modified attack roll of the incoming blow. The successful parry means that the attack does not damage the parrying character. Character may only parry a number of attacks each round equal to the number of attacks per round available to the character. So if I only have 1 attack, I can only parry 1 attack. If I have 2 attacks, I can parry 2, and so on and so forth. So this is a neat skill. However, it's not something that I think Iggy is going to be doing much of because he is not very good at the dexterity stuff. I'm tempted to delve a little bit into lore because it will allow us to identify unknown magic items. And the more characters we have with lore, the better. Even if he does get a -2 because, you know, farmer, simple farm boy. This is tough. I think I will, however, start delving into the diplomacy. Although his charisma does suck, having a relatively good charisma might be a good idea in the long run. I might also see about if there's a way to increase his charisma later on. And finally, probably could do Intimidate. But no, that's not Iggy style. We'll delve into the lore a little bit. Again, this is intelligence based, but with the -2 that I get, that is eventually just puts him at 4. Good stuff. And now, I think we get to the fun part of being a fighter, and that is the feats. We get a plethora of feats. I think this is our feat for just existing first, though. Believe so. Now all these are combat feats. Never mind. So we could take improved parry, make it so as that parrying is a little bit better. It's a little bit funky, because parry itself is a dexterity skill, but improved parry requires an intelligence of 13+. So, nah. But this would allow a character to counterattack if the parry roll beats it by 5 or more. Knockdown might be a good idea. By his strength bonus, the attacker makes a d20 roll modified by the strength bonus. Difference between his character size and the creature size times 4. Defender makes a d20 modified roll by the better of his strength and dexterity bonus. Basically, this would allow me to knock a character prone if I were to get it off successfully. That's tempting, because knocking a character prone would make them really susceptible to attacks. But for this particular moment in time, I'm going to take Weapon Focus Morningstar. This isn't a big deal of a thing. It's pretty much just, oh hey, you get +1 to attack rolls with this particular weapon. It will be required for weapon specialization, which I can take as a fighter only, but I think I need to take it as a fighter only later on if I were to be specifically a fighter at that point. It's been a while, don't at me. Alright. Get a second feat. So this is a feat that I really do love, and I used pretty much as soon as we got Complete Warrior. And that is Monkey Grip. This feat grants the ability to wield weapons that are normally two-handed for a character with one hand at a -2 penalty. For example, a human could wield a great sword and a shield using this feat, while a halfling could wield a longsword in each hand. Medium-sized characters, humans, elves, blah blah blah, with this feat can use giant weapons with the -2 penalty to hit. Note that this ability only applies to melee weapons, does not affect the use of crossbows, bows, etc. And automatically used. So basically, when I first made my character and Complete Warrior came out, this feat was made available. So I was suddenly able to use a great axe as a gnome. A medium-sized great axe as a gnome. So this was my bread and butter for the longest of times. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of that. Just like, ah yeah, this thing. Okay, yeah, this is now the general feats. So we got most of these, which are just general, neat feats. But we also have proficiency feats, which allow us to use stuff that are more exotic, like commas, dwarven war axes, bastard swords, katanas. We're not going to delve into those, but we also have skills and save feats. These will allow us to just gain more shit, like the Able Learner, which allows us to spend a single point per rank for a skill we would normally not have on our class list. Don't think I'll delve into that, although that would make it so as I could become War Priest a little bit faster. We got our skill focuses, which I might want to delve into later on when I go to craft weapons. Then we got our background feats. Stuff like We Are the Artiste, where we gain bonuses to perform in diplomacy checks. All of these can only be taken at first level, with some minor exceptions. +1 to will aim for saves, as well as a bonus to death save magic. Thug. +2 on initiative and appraise and intimidation checks. Or we could have a Fey heritage. Non-lawful alignment. You have descended from creatures native to the Fey realms. You are naturally resistant to the most common effects produced by your ancestors. So +3 bonus to saves against enchantments, which is neat. Let's see. Oh, for the purposes of determining bonus spells and the saving throw DCs of spells you can cast, treat your primary spellcasting score as 2 points higher than its actual. If you have one more spellcasting class, the bonus applies to all of those classes. That's actually pretty bitchin'. Mind over body allows you to use your intelligence instead of constitution to determine your hit points. That's actually pretty good. But every subsequent level uses your constitution bonus. Less good. But every time you acquire metamagic or spellcasting feat, you gain 1 hit point. That's pretty good. Oh man. It's been a while since I've thought of this character, so while I gave some of these things a thought, I didn't give them too hard of a thought. I might just take Able Learner, because that would allow me to use all my skill points so I can, you know, get diplomacy and spot without much worry. Nimble fingers for opening locks and traps. Resisting diseases and poisons. Oh god. Too many good options. If I do this, Able Learner, would that retroactively allow me to allocate? No, it does not. Because that would be the big thing about Able Learner, is me allowing me to allocate my stuff right off the bat. Heck. Yeah, we'll do diplomacy first. Next. Should wait. Okay, no, this is the fighter feat. I'm almost second guessing the fighter feat. Base attack bonus. Could be good to disarm a foe instead, though. The attacker attempting to disarm makes an attack roll against the target at maximum base attack bonus modified by the size difference. The target's size times 4. The attack gets a further modifier of 4 times the relative size of its main hand. The attack bonus. Point is, I could disarm a foe. Attacker meets or beats the defender's roll. Okay, yeah, it's contested. I think I'll go with a disarm, just to give me a couple of more options. Blind fight is also a really good one, but I don't think I'll need it that early into the game. God damn it. If I could use Able Learner now, this would be great. Because, one would think I would have better thought of all of this. You would be thinking wrong. Because while I did have some thoughts, I didn't have any specifically for skills and saves or background. I think what I did for my playthrough of Neverwinter Nights 1 was I took Luck of Heroes, which grants a +1 luck bonus to armor class as well as to all saving throws. And I think for the sake of my sanity, I'm going to take that as well, because that is essentially going to be far more defenses down the line. Now, this character is Ingwulf Donovan, rather. I believe at the time of his adventuring career, he was age 23. So, a little quick background on our friend Iggy here, as I'll probably be referring to him from now on. He was, at one point, a human, a simple farm boy that acted also as town guard slash militiaman for a small town called Oakhurst. It was a rather calm time until some adventurers came along and more or less picked him up for adventures within the Sunless Citadel. And after a little bit of a taste of adventure, the simple fighter farm boy had decided, you know what? I want to party with these individuals. I want to see the world. There is so much that I have not witnessed, not explored, not discovered. And so he went on exploring. Pretty much the adventure directly after the Sunless Citadel, he died. That was a bad time. He got better, had an impressive scar on his face as well. Some long time into the adventure later, though, he had been thrown into what was known as the elemental chaos. Basically fire, water, earth, air, just this constant cauldron of chaos going all about all the time. And he was tossed in there, and his friends had attempted to get him back out. Now, for the sake of the campaign that he was in, they did manage to get him back out. Safe and sound, but he had been, let's say, affected by the elemental chaos that had happened, and that influenced his body into the Earth Ganassi he is today. For the purposes of Neverwinter Nights 2, however, he managed to escape, but instead of being returned to the world of Farland, he is now ejected into the world of Faerun. And he's been here for a couple of years, we'll say 2 or 3, so we can expand his age by 2. And, yeah, while he's still looking for a way to get home, he's not exactly expecting it all too much. Being a little pragmatic about it and living a simple life. Now, let's check out...
No one standing.
Nah.
Show them your steel.
Eh.
Leave no one standing. They will die by my hand. To the death. This one's mine.
Nah. Maybe, definitely not a high-strung evangelist.
Get on them! Attack, I say! The battle is on! I'll kill you! You'll see!
Maybe the battle hardened is the... Because a lot of these are pretty good.
Attack! I'll handle this one. You are gonna regret crossing us. This shouldn't take long.
Or typical fighter.
Time to spill some blood! You're no match for me!
Nah. I think hardened battler.
Leave no one standing. They will die by my hand. To the death.
I think that's the best one. So, now we are going to bring Ingwulf Donovan, aka Iggy, into the realm of Faerun. Some years, I assume, after the events of Neverwinter Nights 1. Wonder if he would know the exploits of Darius the Beast.
So many years ago today. Ah, my foster son is up and dressed, I see. Today is the High Harvest Fair, and the West Harbor Village Council requires me to man the archery competition. The human need to celebrate Remembrance Days baffles me, but at least something productive may come of it. The merchant Galen is here. He'll want my furs, as he usually does. Coins can be useful in getting by. This past season has been a hard one for both tilled fields and wildlands. While I attend to the archery contest, I will need you to deal with the merchant. Fetch my furs from the chest, over by the painting.
Welcome to Neverwinter Nights 2. If this is your first time playing the game, you might want to play through the tutorial, which I will. The tutorial gives you a chance to learn the controls and basic strategies for playing the game in a relatively safe, non-hostile environment. You'll also learn more about your hometown and background. If you played the game before, or you just want to get straight to the story, feel free to skip ahead. As you progress through the tutorial, you'll see pop-up boxes like this one explaining various elements of the game's interface and telling you how to perform different types of actions. Be sure to read the instructions carefully, as once you close the window, that text is gone forever. You can choose to skip the rest of the tutorial at any time the tutorial window pops up. You may also turn off the pop-ups if you want to experience the tutorial without the interference. Keep in mind that if you turn off the pop-ups, they remain turned off for good, and you lose the chance to bypass the tutorial. Click the left mouse button on the ground to move your character to that spot. Keyboard can also be used to move your character. W forward, S backwards, A turn, D turn, Q quick step left, E step right. Walk over to the chest. It is situated against the wall underneath a painting. Pressing Ctrl Z to highlight all interactive objects. If you're still having trouble finding the chest, you can move the camera to better observe your surroundings. Use the arrow keys to rotate and zoom the camera page up and down to modify the camera's vertical angle. Press the asterisk button to cycle camera modes. Asterisk button? If your mouse has a wheel, you can also zoom by clicking and hold, or you can move the camera manually like so. Now the chest is right over here. You simply double click for the chests. The furs have been added to your inventory. To view your inventory, click on the player menu icon. Looks like the Neverwinter eye in the lower left corner of the screen, and select the bag icon. The top half of your inventory has slots for weapons, armor, rings, and other equipped items. Lower half shows your stored items. You should see Dagoons. We'll hear his name later on. Furs listed there. Close your inventory by clicking the X in the upper right corner. Now you have the furs. Speak with Dagon by left clicking on them. Or we can simply press C to see our character, all of his stats, all of his Earth Ganassi glory, all of his skills, and as expected, diplomacy's a 1. Gonna be a good time. All of our feats. We actually got 3 other things here I was not really expecting. Blessed of Joaquin, the deity of coins and wealth. You have a soft halo around your head. +1 to all saving throws. Certain merchants will recognize this blessing and offer special items. We also have the Harborman. You grew up in the farming village of West Harbor, located on the swampy edge of the Mirror of Dead Men. Called Harbormen by outsiders, the citizens of the West Harbor live with the constant dangers of the Mirror, and are known for being tough, practical, and self-reliant. That honestly could have been Iggy before he left Oakhurst, but okay. Merchant's friend. In his younger days, your foster father often served as an escort to the merchants traveling the Sword Coast. Dagon's reputation follows you and affords you special treatment from merchants. A 10% discount for merchants, as well as special access to rare and exotic items sold by one particular vendor. And then everything else is stuff we've already had. The merge with Stone, the Dark Vision, so on and so forth. The behavior is how our character acts when we are not in control of him. And we'll not be in control of him if we need to, say, control the thief for a solo mission or have the sorcerer do something in particular. For the most part, though, I will try to basically control Iggy all the time. But yeah, we can also enter our inventory by pressing the I button. And we can see Dagon's furs. In order to make his living, Dagon hunts animals for their furs, sometimes disappearing into the swamps for several weeks at a time. These furs are the fruit of the past season's labor. Ah yes, 0.3 pounds worth of furs is the fruits of his labor. Good times. Anyway, And anywho, the way I used to control the control setup for this is different from Neverwinter, so I did finagle it a little bit more. So now A and D just move the camera this way and that way. I would have it so as W moves me forward, but that doesn't quite work, seeing as forward is whichever way the character is looking. So I'm going to be using the mouse to move myself forward and A and D to turn. Hope that makes sense.
Good. I see you have the furs. Galen has probably set up his tent on the village green. He'll be enjoying the fair with the rest of the townsfolk. Last season, I asked him to bring a duskwood bow to trade. Sell him the furs and use the coins it gives you to purchase the bow. Your friends await you at the bridge. I suppose you're anxious to see the fair. But don't forget to trade with Galen.
Dagon has just given you a quest. Click on the player menu icon in the lower left and select the journal, or just press J. You can click on the names of the quest to show or hide their details. Always good feature. Journal is always available to remind you of your current quest state and to point you towards the next objective. Close your journal by clicking the X on the top right, or just press J again. Left click on the door on the east to open it, then left click again to open the door to exit on the open door to exit Dagon's house. Dagon, wherever. Foster father Dagon has asked you to sell his furs to Galen, the merchant. He also wants you to purchase a duskwood bow for him. Galen can be found at the center of town, enjoying the Harvest Fair festivities. Today is the High Harvest Fair in the village of West Harbor. Your friends are waiting for you at the bridge, and are probably eager to attend the fair. I should hope so. Fairs are a fairly big deal. Okay. Zoom out a little bit. It's a little bit harder to control them like so. But yeah. You gotta click to open first, and then you can go through. Makes sense. We'll have our little chit chat with our soon-to-be companions, and then we'll call it an episode. Click on the Neverwinter logo on the lower left to access character sheet, inventory, spellbook, journal, and more. Click on the closed eye next to it to rest. Oh yeah, rest icon. I'm gonna need to get used to this because I had been playing a bunch of Baldur's Gate 3 before this. And then some useful hotkeys, hide reveal minimap character sheet, highlight the interactable objects, journal, spellbook, rest, reveal hide mode bar, hide reveal GUI, which is just everything, target the next enemy, shift tab, but most importantly though, that it does, I don't think it shows here, is that you can entirely pause the game by pressing space. Can't move, can't interact, but you can set up a little bit of a conveyor belt of actions. But let's go ahead and talk to our friends really quickly.
There you are. Come on, the fair's already started.
It's the biggest fair in years. There's folk in from all the outlying farms, and even a few from outside the mare. That means a big audience.
A big audience, all cheering for us. This year's our last chance to compete for the Harvest Cup. Our last chance to win.
What does the competition look like?
The Mossfelds won both their matches in the Harvest Brawl. They'll be tough to beat, but Amy's bound to win the tourney of talent for us.
I convinced Tarmus to teach me a few new spells. And I dug up a couple more from his spellbooks when he wasn't looking. Anyway, I heard Will Mossfeld is doing the same act this year, so that should help my chances.
Oh, gods. Not the pixie impressions again.
We have the whole day ahead of us. It's our first stop.
We sign up with Georg in the village square. Come on.
Amy and Bevel have joined your party. Companions will follow you and fight by your side. Companions are listed by the portraits on the right side of the screen. Left click on the companion's portrait to take control of that character.
Yes, indeed.
Wonder if it does anything. Probably not. Anyways, we now have Amy, a human wizard of chaotic good alignment. Let's see what your spell list is like. You have Burning Hands, Enlarged Person, Mage Armor, Magic Missile, Sleep, and Summon Creature 2 with Enlarged Person and Summon Creature prepared. Now, really quick. Wait, you're a wizard, but you don't have Detect Magic? How are you a wizard without Detect Magic? Funky. But she is good with Alchemy. Bluff is alright. Concentration, which is vital for pretty much any spellcaster. Ah, I was right. That is Constitution based. So having a high Constitution as a spellcaster is still good for just not dying, but you know. Deity of Mystra, School of Magic General, the most boring. Basically, there's no penalties or bonuses from general spellcasters. And of course, we can also see all of the character statuses in this menu as well.
Your command.
God, my fortitude is freaking astounding. Love it.
What's up?
And then we have Bevel. He is a human fighter. The fighteriest of fighters. Ah, Deity of Chanté. And what do your feats look like? You have... Ah. See, if human fighters are the most boring character, human fighters that specifically focused on the longsword are the most boring of the boring. Which I will point out really quickly too. It was kind of hard choosing a deity, not simply because of what it is that Iggy would have worshipped in Faerun, but also because good chunk of them, their favorite weapon was a longsword. Good lord, so many longsword users. But yeah, he's a very general character. Toughness to give him more hit points, basically 1 per level. And dodge, which allows him a +1 dodge bonus to AC against attacks from his current target or the last person that attacked him. He loses this if he ever becomes flat-footed. Flat-footed being where you lose your dexterity bonus against a particular character. But yeah, Neverwinter Nights 2.
Yes.
It's been ages since I've last touched this. It's probably going to be a long time, a long Let's Play. Like, y'all remember how long Neverwinter Nights 1 was? Probably somewhere along that scope. But we're going to set up our first actual save here. Iggy 01. And then when we next come back, by the way, there is no quick save, quick load option from what I can see. And when we come back, we will delve into the tutorial proper. That'll be fun. As opposed to just a character creation. Character creation is always fun to me, though. So, thank you everyone so very much for watching. If you're looking forward to the series, consider hitting like, commenting, subscribing. Will make it so as you will be notified of any videos that drop, especially if you hit that little bell, so you can follow along in the adventures of Ingwulf Donovan. And of course, if you want to support the channel in a financial fashion, I have a bevy of links down in the description below. Every little bit helps, puts a roof over my head, food on my belly, and hopefully at some point be able to actually upgrade this computer a little bit. Thank you everyone so very much for watching, and I hope to see you folks in the next video. Take care. Cheers.